The NBA is terrified of the new-look Houston Rockets, as in ESPN's latest NBA power rankings, the Rockets moved up all the way to the number 2 spot, only behind the Oklahoma City Thunder. Today, we tell you why ESPN said the Rockets were a team to be feared in the NBA. Welcome into Rockets Digest, everybody. I'm Jace Andrews, and I appreciate you tuning into the show. We're about a half a month away from the NBA schedule being released. It'll be released probably about sometime mid-August, but while we sit and wait for that, ESPN continues to put out their power rankings, and we have a new edition of that. Now, they release these about a week, every 2 weeks, something like that. Either way, they had the Rockets at number 5 in the previous ranking. This was before the Josh Okogie signing, and now they have bumped them up all the way to the number 2 spot, only behind, as I mentioned, the reigning champion Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, the notable additions that they have listed are Clint Capella, Kevin Durant, Dorian Finney-Smith, and J.D. Davison over Josh Okogie. So kind of interesting that they have Davison, who is on a two-way contract, and not Josh Okogie, but either way, Davison was the G League MVP, and who knows, with the Rockets and kind of their guard need, they might be able to use him down the stretch, especially given he can play in like 90 NBA games, I believe is the number, so they could definitely use him in a very good manner. Now, obviously, we know the notable departures of Dillon Brooks, Jalen Green, and Cam Whitmore. Cam Whitmore has said that he is circling that Houston Rockets matchup. I'm circling it too because, listen, I love Cam to death, and I was upset to see him traded, but I'm excited to see a Rockets versus Washington Wizards and Cam Whitmore matchup. And in the same tone, I'm excited to see Dillon Brooks and Jalen Green face off against us in a Phoenix Suns versus Houston Rockets matchup. So that's the way I'm kind of looking at it, and I'm excited for that. But as I said, we won't get that for a little bit later, and before I get going into ESPN's full article in which they talked about why they ranked the Houston Rockets number 2 in all of the NBA, I want to get your opinion without skewing it with ESPN's first. Do you believe that the Houston Rockets are deserving of the number 2 spot in the latest NBA power rankings? If you do believe so, then I want you to type Y for yes. If you think, that may be a little bit too rich, then type N for no. Personally, as Rockets fans, I feel like we should all be typing Y for yes just to have that confidence in our team. But I do understand that the Denver Nuggets made some very good moves as well. And there's obviously a couple teams in the Western Conference that could definitely put up a fight for that number 2 spot. But overall, I think the number 2 is probably between the Rockets and the Nuggets. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Let's get into this article as they start first here talking about Kevin Durant. Obviously, this is Michael C. Wright of ESPN. He was on the panel voting for these power rankings. He said, quote, "Disappointed with a first-round exit from the postseason, Houston wasted no time in addressing its need for offense by bringing aboard 15-time NBA All-Star Kevin Durant, while also bolstering depth and perimeter defense with the addition of Dorian Finney-Smith," end quote. Now, there's no doubt in my mind that those are the 2 biggest additions for the Houston Rockets this offseason, and we start first with Kevin Durant because he is going to be a valuable scorer. The Rockets, they needed a scoring threat, and even at almost 37 years old, Kevin Durant is averaging 26.6 points per game. Obviously, we know he had the Achilles tear, and he's actually done really well. In fact, he's one of the only people to see his points per game not go down after an Achilles tear, so that's a very good thing for him. But also knowing that he's going to have to, take some precipice away from Alperen Şengün and Amen Thompson, allow them to be a little bit more flexible with their scoring. It's going to make the Houston Rockets offense definitely much, much better. And we know Ime Udoka, he loves his defense, so what did he do? Well, he went out and got Dorian Finney-Smith as well, who is a 3-and-D defender. In some ways, he is our Dillon Brooks replacement. He's a bigger guy, going to be playing at the power forward, small forward position. Given KD is going to be at that small forward position, I would probably expect more of DFS in the power forward slot, but he is, in theory, the Dillon Brooks replacement. His defense is great. In fact, the Rockets, I think, have three of the top 10 3-and-D defenders, and Dorian Finney-Smith is one of those. So the defense is still going to be key this upcoming season. We always know that with Ime Udoka, if you don't play defense, you don't play. And I'm not going to say Cam Whitmore was a bad defender, but that is part of the reason why they sent him away, because he wasn't playing as a team player. He was playing more of a me type guy, at least. That's the reports we got, whether you choose to believe them or not. So obviously the additions there of Dorian Finney-Smith with the defense and Kevin Durant with, he's not a bad defender, not saying that, but I'm just more focused on his offensive help for the Houston Rockets, just strictly out of the need for that more than what they need on defense from him. Continuing on in the article here, it says, quote, those experienced veterans join Fred VanVleet, who I would argue is also an experienced veteran, and a young, hungry cast of rising stars, including Alperen Şengün and Amen Thompson, end quote. Now, he also didn't mention Jabari Smith Jr. and Tari Eason, who I think are some of the guys who are overlooked, especially Tari Eason. Jabari, getting that extension kind of put him a little bit more, I'm not going to say on the map, people know who Jabari Smith Jr. is, but more in the forefront of what he is worth, and Tari is extension eligible. I don't know if he'll get it this season. I would have to expect with the money, they're kind of going to try and figure that out to probably give it to him next year, but we'll kind of wait on that. But either way, these two guys are the cast of Alperen Şengün, Amen Thompson, Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason is great, but I think what he mentioned is something that we haven't got to talk about that much, and that's Fred VanVleet and how we need him to not only continue playing at the minutes per game pace he was playing on last year, going into what will be his age 32 season, but we also would like to see the points per game go up, especially since we're going to see him more in a true point guard role for the entire season. Not that we saw that didn't see that last year, but kind of getting him to be able to work with Amen Thompson. I think there's going to be more open shots for Fred VanVleet, and we know that he can take over a game if he needs to. We saw that a couple times in the playoffs against the Golden State Warriors, and for Fred VanVleet, it's all about just keeping the train going with this team. It's making sure that he continues on with the stride. He took a better team-friendly contract because he knows what the goal is in mind here at Houston, to go win an NBA title, and I love that for him, and now hopefully he can continue to grow as well, even getting into the older season. I also want to talk about Alperen Şengün real quick, just because this guy was an all-star last season. He's going to be so key to the Houston Rockets this upcoming year, and is a big, big reason why the Rockets are why the Rockets are here and going into an NBA title contending year. Because listen, I love Amen Thompson, but last year Alperen Şengün getting that all-star vote is a big reason of the Rockets' success and kind of being put on the map in a lot of ways, being shown that they can compete with the top-tier talent in the NBA. We know the 52 wins obviously helped a lot, but when you lose in the first round having 52 wins, you kind of look to the players, okay, who's coming back? And you see Alperen Şengün being an all-star, it really makes this team have a different look than if you would have traded him away for, let's say, Giannis, but, kind of in that same light. But as per usual, I feel like I'm making the same video every time, but I also just understand that this is a different report every day about it, and I want to kind of show you what ESPN is saying. Reed Sheppard continues to be the talk of the town and a honestly pivotal point in the Rockets' success. Michael C. Wright says, quote, the Rockets are also banking on the improvement, especially on the defensive end, from the sharpshooting Reed Sheppard, who was impressive during Summer League, showing Houston he is ready for an increased role. Front court depth will be a sneaky strength too, end quote. So it once again is a time for Reed Sheppard to basically put up or shut up. And we've talked about this a lot. I think impressive Summer League is probably a bit farther than I'd go. I'd say above average, maybe more than adequate Summer League showing, especially in that first game, second game. Again, I want that first game twice. I know that he had the injury with the calf. I know that they were trying to limit his workload and all that, and he only played 2 games. Understand all of that. And usually when your summer league team stinks, your team is going to be good, especially because most of the guys on your summer league team aren't on your roster because you have an established either veteran roster or established rookies that don't need to be playing in rookie ball or NBA summer league anymore. Reed Sheppard was kind of the last piece of this quote-unquote rebuild, and it was very prevalent the Rockets wanted to keep him. It was him and Cam Whitmore who were kind of sitting there, and they decided to trade away Cam Whitmore. It seemed like that was a very mindful decision by Rafael Stone and the Houston Rockets, and knowing that they believe more in Reed Sheppard, I guess, than Cam Whitmore. And whether that's true or not, it's true that they believe that. Whether it's the truth that he is better than Cam Whitmore is really yet to be seen. He's a sharpshooter. Yes, I want to see improvement on the defense, but for the purposes that the Rockets are going to need him for, I want the points per game. The defense, the aggressiveness, I would love that as well, but the Rockets have such a good defense that I don't think it matters, but at the same light, I guess, Ime Udoka will not play you if you are not a good defender, so for Reed Shepard's status. He kind of needs to be a good defender because otherwise the pressure gets fully placed onto Fred VanVleet and a little bit onto Amen Thompson as well. So it is a very interesting situation in that guard room because of the reliance on Reed Shepard. Talked about how much Rafael Stone said it, talked about how much Udoka said it, and even the media and ESPN here getting into it saying, listen, the Rockets are in a very good spot. The additions they've made have been fan-freaking-tastic. But does that mean that they are out of the blue and are in a great spot to go win an NBA championship? There's still some things they can improve on. It's Reed Shepard. It's figuring out what exactly he is capable of in this upcoming season. I'm excited for the upcoming season, and obviously this number 2 power ranking just kind of gets me even more excited. Bumping up 3 spots for a Josh Okogie signing, and I guess J.D. Davidson is kind of what they're looking at more, is a very exciting thing. So again, let me know in the comment section, I know that we've kind of gotten past it, do you believe the Rockets are worthy of the number 2 spot in the NBA power rankings? Let me know down in the comment section. We'll make sure to keep you updated. We've got a couple more videos obviously coming out over the next couple days. Got a bunch of stuff to report on, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, tune in every day, and we're getting closer and closer to some NBA play and some more news from that. So we appreciate you watching, and as always, we'll see you next time here on Houston Rockets Digest. Peace out, guys.